The night stretched endlessly over the plains, a black canvas torn by the flashes of lightning that illuminated the rolling clouds. Rain lashed against the earth with the kind of fury that made even the toughest ranch hands retreat indoors. But Eli McGraw wasn't the kind of man to hide from a storm. Not when something didn't sit right in his gut. He'd been closing the barn doors when he heard it, faint, almost lost beneath the wind. A sound that didn't belong. Not the restless stamping of horses, not the creak of old wood. It was a sound soaked in fear, a soft, broken sob carried by the wind. Eli paused, one hand on the latch, the other gripping his lantern. He turned, listening. There it was again, a human cry. "Hello," he called into the darkness, his voice deep and steady. Only the storm replied. He stepped inside the barn, the smell of hay and rain mixing in the air. The horses shifted nervously in their stalls, snorting and stamping as thunder rolled overhead. "Easy there," he murmured, running a calming hand over one of their necks before moving deeper into the shadows. The light from his lantern danced across the walls, catching on rusted tools, saddles, and old feed sacks. His boots sank into the damp dirt as he followed the sound, each step heavier than the last. Then, near the back of the barn, he saw movement, something small, trembling, half hidden behind a pile of hay. "Who's there?" he asked, his tone firm but not harsh. The figure flinched. A girl's voice, soft, cracked from cold, answered, "Please, don't come closer." Eli lifted the lantern higher. A young woman crouched there, drenched from the rain, her dress torn and clinging to her skin. Mud streaked her arms, and her hair hung in wet ropes over her face. Her wrists were bound with strips of torn cloth, and her wide, terrified eyes reflected the light like a cornered animal's. "What the hell happened to you?" he asked quietly. She shook her head, backing farther against the wall. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "You need to go." "This is my barn," Eli said, voice steady. "You're on my land, miss. I ain't going anywhere until I know what's happening." Her breath came in ragged bursts. "Then please, don't lift it," she said suddenly, her gaze flicking towards something beside her. "Whatever you do, don't lift it." Eli frowned and took a cautious step forward, holding the lantern toward where she looked. There was a blanket on the ground, old, rough wool, soaked through and darkened by something that glistened wet in the light. The scent hit him next, metallic and heavy. Blood. His stomach tightened. "What's under that?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't want to know," she said. "If you lift it, you'll never be the same." Lightning split the sky, and for a moment the barn glowed white, throwing their shadows long and trembling across the walls. When the thunder followed, it shook the rafters. The horses whinnied, kicking at their stalls. Eli's instincts told him this woman was scared beyond reason, but his conscience wouldn't let him walk away. "Ma'am, you look like hell froze over you. You're hurt, you're scared, and you're hidin' something. If there's someone in trouble under there, I can't just stand here." She shook her head wildly, pressing her hands over the blanket. "No, please, you don't understand." Her voice broke, swallowed by the storm. Eli's hand trembled slightly around the lantern handle, the fire within flickering as if warning him back. But he couldn't leave it. Not with that blood on the floor, not with that look in her eyes. He took one more step, close enough now to see her shaking hands. "I ain't here to hurt you," he said softly. "You got my word on that." Her lips quivered. "It's not me I'm afraid of," she whispered. "It's it." The wind screamed through a crack in the wall, scattering hay into the air. Eli crouched slowly, his breath loud in the silence between thunderclaps. The woman wept openly now, her body shaking with every sob. He reached out, his rough, calloused fingers brushing the corner of the blanket. It was heavy and wet, the fabric sticking to the dirt beneath. He hesitated, meeting her eyes one last time. "You sure you want me to walk away from this?" Her answer came as barely a breath. "For your own soul, yes." But Eli McGraw wasn't a man who turned from a mystery, or a cry for help. He drew in a steadying breath and lifted the blanket. The moment he did, the lantern flame wavered violently. The barn seemed to breathe, and what the light revealed beneath made Eli's hands go cold and his heart stop for a beat. His breath hitched in his throat as the woman's scream tore through the thunder. "God help you," she cried. "You shouldn't have lifted it." And as the light flickered, Eli saw enough to know she was right. The storm outside raged as if the sky itself were furious at what had just been uncovered. Eli's lantern wavered, its flame nearly snuffed out by a gust that howled through the gaps in the barn's boards. His heart pounded so violently it drowned out even the thunder. He stared down at what lay beneath the blanket, a small wooden box, crudely built yet marked with deep, intricate carvings. They weren't the kind of marks a man made with purpose, they were wild, swirling shapes that seemed alive in the trembling light, each stroke dug in with rage or desperation. The box pulsed faintly, as though something within it breathed. The glow beneath the carvings was soft but unnatural, a sickly red that throbbed with the rhythm of a slow heartbeat. Eli's breath caught. "What in God's name is this?" he whispered, his voice barely holding steady. The young woman, still kneeling a few feet away, lifted her tear-streaked face. Her hair clung to her cheeks, her eyes wide and glistening with terror. "It's what they made me keep," she said in a voice that sounded older than her years. "What they forced me to guard." "Who's they?" Eli demanded, not taking his eyes off the box. She swallowed hard, her lips trembling. "Men who came with shovels and rifles. Said they were diggin' for silver veins in the old hills. But they found this instead. They told me it was cursed, but they didn't believe it till it started moving. When the first man touched it, he screamed till his voice broke." Eli's stomach turned. "You're telling me they buried it here?" "They tried." Her voice cracked. "But it doesn't stay buried." For a long moment, the only sound was the relentless pounding of rain on the tin roof. Eli took a step back, but his gaze was fixed on the box. He could see moisture pooling beneath it, dark and sticky, like blood, though no wound had caused it. Then he heard it, the faint, slow thump of a heartbeat echoing through the air. Eli froze. "You hear that?" Her face twisted in fear. "It's waking up again," she whispered. Lightning slashed the sky, and the barn filled with blinding white light. The horses screamed in their stalls, rearing in panic. When the thunder came, the box rattled, its lid shifting an inch. A thin hiss escaped it, almost like a breath. "Get back," Eli barked, grabbing the woman's arm and pulling her away. She fought him, crying out, "You can't stop it. You touched it, it knows you now." The words made no sense, but her terror was real. Eli stumbled back, his lantern swinging wildly, shadows jumping across the walls. The glow beneath the carvings brightened, bleeding through the cracks of the wood. Then the lid lifted, just enough for a rush of cold air to spill out. A voice, or something like it, whispered from inside. It wasn't a language Eli knew. It sounded like wind through bones, like a prayer spoken backward. The air around them thickened, heavy with the scent of earth and iron. Eli could feel it pressing against his chest. "What the hell is this?" he gasped, clutching his shirt front. His hands were trembling violently now, the blood in his veins burning like fire. He looked down and saw faint red light crawling up his skin where his fingers had brushed the box earlier. It spread like veins of molten iron, glowing beneath his flesh. The woman fell to her knees, sobbing. "It's the curse of the stolen land," she said. "They took it from the Apache hills. It wasn't meant to be found." Eli staggered back, but the light on his arms only grew brighter. He could feel something pulling at him, something ancient, cruel, and hungry. "Get away," he shouted, voice raw. "Go." Before it, the words broke as a sound like a deep sigh filled the barn. The box creaked again, and this time the lid opened fully. No creature came out, no shape or shadow. Instead, the light exploded outward in a pulse, washing over the walls like fire without heat. The horses broke free from their stalls, galloping into the storm, their cries lost in the wind. Eli dropped to his knees, gripping the dirt floor, his eyes wide as the glow filled him. He could hear voices, hundreds of them, chanting, crying, pleading in a language he couldn't understand. His breath came in ragged gasps as his body shook. The woman crawled to him, trying to reach for his hands, but she recoiled when she saw his eyes. They glowed faintly red, mirroring the light spreading beneath his skin. "I told you not to lift it," she whispered through tears. "It's too late now." Eli raised his trembling hands, staring at them as if they belonged to someone else. The glow began to fade, leaving his skin cold and pale. The barn was silent again, save for the rain. He looked toward the box, now dark and still. The carvings no longer glowed. It lay quiet on the dirt, as though nothing had happened. The woman backed away, her face streaked with rain and sorrow. "It's passed to you," she said. "It won't rest until it's done what it came for." Eli's breath came shallow. The last flicker of lightning illuminated his face, pale, trembling, eyes filled with something that wasn't entirely his own. The storm outside quieted, the rain softening into silence. But deep in the stillness of the barn, something faint echoed once more, a slow, rhythmic heartbeat from within the box. Only this time, Eli felt an answer inside his own chest.